Well, we're trying something this summer, and I think it's going to be fun. We've had a lot of people, just express the interest in wanting to get to know our elders a little bit better. I know some of our people have been going to church here with our elders for quite some time. Some people who are brand new to our tradition they've actually asked me, what is an elder? I've heard that in the last couple of months. And so over the next summer, how many weeks is this? 8, 9 weeks. We're going to have a conversation with each of our elders. Most every evening is going to be at least 2 of them. A couple of the evenings we're going to have spouses are going to join in. And hopefully at the end of the summer we'll have something fun to do to kind of wrap up our entire summer. But hopefully this will be helpful for you because it's going to be helpful for me. I'm excited to do this. And kids, I know we have some kids in the room and adults. If you have any questions, you may want to ask towards the very end tonight. If we have time, kind of get ready for that. Prepare those in advance. Nolan, I know you're going to have a question. So be prepared for a question to ask one of these fine men here. All right. I know y'all are really looking forward to this. So, all right, so we have Mark Webster. You've been on our eldership for the past 8 years, okay? And Clint, about 8 minutes. Okay, good. All right, so I just wanted to kind of open it up and just tell us who you are. Tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe about your family, kind of how long you've been in San Angelo, at Johnson Street, et cetera. Who wants to go first?
Okay, me. So my name is Clint Lasiter. I am married to Kristen, right there. Raise your hand. She's nodding.
There you go. She didn't want to be
right
up here.
There. She did not want to come up here. And when she found out Lonnie couldn't come, she was like, well, I'm not going for sure. So anyway, Kristen, we've been married for almost 21 years. We have 3 kids. Jace, he is 17. He will be a senior. Hayden is 15. He will be a sophomore. Brinley is 13. She will be in the 8th grade. We've been here for 12 years. Been a member here basically since we moved here almost 12 years ago. It was July of 10. I'm an ear, nose, and throat physician at Shannon, and that's why I'm wearing pajamas. I literally came here straight from the operating room and drove here. My wife brought me dinner. She's great. That's also why I'm wearing a hat, because I've had a surgeon's hat all day, and so you don't want to see my hair because it's bad. Mark told me put the hat back on. So,
but that's okay because both of you guys are Cubs fans,
and
right?
so, yeah, I was supporting the Cubs. I thought maybe he would do the same, but, whatever.
Now, you grew up in Midland?
Odessa.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry
right.
about that.
Careful. Whew. I grew up in Odessa, moved there when I was 8 months old, I believe, and so that's the only place I ever knew was home. Went to ACU. That's where I met Kristen. Went to medical school, Texas A&M. Did my ear, nose, and throat training in Missouri. So,
wow, well, good.
I don't know what else. I'm a Cubs fan. I like Ford Broncos.
We have the same idea in mind. Kristen's sister, just by the way,
yes.
Our connection to Kristen and Clint is that Kristen's sister, Tanya, was Shelly's roommate whenever Shelly and I met. And so Tanya was in our wedding, and we got to know Kristen at, I don't know if it was y'all's wedding? No, Tanya's wedding. And so whenever we were interviewing for this job, I said, she looks really familiar. And we're about to do an online interview, and Shelly's like, yeah, I think it's Tanya's sister, but don't say anything. I said, no, I won't. So as soon as we said hello, I go, I think I know you. Stop it. Anyway, so that's our connection. But all right, Mark, let us know a little bit more about the real Mark Webster.
My name's Mark Webster. I am retired Air Force. That's what brought me to San Angelo. I grew up right outside of Chicago, thus the Cubs connection. My wife, Lonnie, and I have been married for 35 years.
Can I hold it? There you go.
Sorry. My wife and I have been married for 35 years. We have twin sons. One is married and gave us our 2 grandkids, Luke and Emma, which we adore. And Joe he is a PA in Shannon's ER. That's Jacob. Our other son, Joe, is a prosecutor in the DA's office. So we're very blessed by our sons. My first trip to San Angelo was at Goodfellow in 1984, and Daryl White made contact with me before I left the language school in Monterey, California. To me, it's a God thing how Daryl White got the phone number for a payphone in the stairwell of my dorms. But that's how he contacted me and asked me to come to John Street and told me he wanted to take me over to the Christian Campus Center. I said, sure. And that is where I met my eventual wife, that we met there. I was in and out of Goodfellow 5 times. I have the distinction, I think, of being introduced at a newcomer's luncheon 5 times by the same elder. Royce Smith introduced me at 5 newcomers' luncheons. So that was a very unique part of my trip here. But we decided when it was time to retire, we decided we were going to stay here, and mostly so the boys could go through the youth group and we could stay connected, because we absolutely fell in love with this church when we were here. So that's kind of.
And you grew up in Michigan.
No.
Oh, where'd you grow up?
Northwest Indiana.
I was close. It's all the same up there, isn't it?
Spoken like an Ohio State fan.
That's good. So you grew up in the north, okay?
Yes.
And you actually grew up. You didn't grow up Church of Christ.
No.
Yeah.
No, I grew up Catholic.
Yeah.
I converted right before I came into the Air Force.
Yeah. And it really is amazing how many of our people are connected to this church through our campus center in so many different ways, and how many people are alive because of our campus center. Kids and everything, right?
Yes.
That's great. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and go. I have a couple of questions I'm going to ask them, and we'll see if how this goes. So whoever wants to start, one of the questions we asked you a while back as you filled out your survey is, why be an elder? What is it about this responsibility? I mean, I know in 1 Timothy it says, whoever desires the office of bishop or elder desires a noble thing. But why be an elder? Why? How did it not scare you off?
I'll go first this time.
Okay.
It did scare me off. It scared me that I didn't. I guess I don't know if they were natural feelings or not. Maybe the new group can answer this. But when I was first approached about being an elder, I didn't feel qualified. I wasn't sure that you guys knew me well enough to really even be on that list. And Lonnie and I talked about it. I had no idea what it would entail for her, and she didn't either. But we had decided on a no all the way until Alan and Mitch knocked on our door and came and asked the question. And you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I told you I don't know that I will ever more clearly hear God knocking on my door than I do right now. And how do I say no to that? And Lonnie's jaw dropped. And that's how I said, yeah. I just felt like it was one of those things where you couldn't say no. That's the truth.
I guess the question of why is a little bit weird. It's nothing that I ever, I guess, set out to do. It's more of one of those things that I wanted to live the kind of life and be the kind of person that people would respect me enough to nominate me. And so when the nomination, so to speak, came, it was like honored, humble, privileged, all that kind of stuff. And it was like, there's no way, I'm not ready for this. There's no way I can do this. And I remember I had been teaching, Bible study class, and it was that first month where we were doing encounters with God, and it was Moses, that week, literally. And I remember reading and preparing. And, Moses, how many times does he say, nope, send somebody else. Nope, I can't do that. I can't talk. He has every excuse known to man. And God said, no, you're the one I chose. And so for me, it was like, if there are enough people in this congregation and enough faith in me from other people to respect me enough to put me up, how do you say no to that? And so Kristen and I talked, we prayed. I talked to my dad, my mom prayed, they prayed for me. You know, it was just one of those things. It was like, how can you say no? And, you know, and Mark and Mitch were the ones that showed up at our house, and it was just like, you know, and Mitch said something to me. He said, Clint, in all reality, you don't have to change a thing. You're doing the things that you need to do to be an elder. This is more formal with a few more responsibilities. When you look at it like that, it's, yes, there are more responsibilities, but, you know, when Mitch said that, Clint, I know you're doing the things that you need to be doing already, I was kind of like, okay, maybe I am cut out for this, plus Moses, you know. So it was like this whirlwind of weird emotions. So.
And it is a little different of an idea and even a thought that you're nominated, you're chosen by the people through a spiritual process because you're already doing the work in some way. You know, there is going to be some on-the-job training, but I would say you're already doing a lot of it. Well, so with that in mind, who is it in your past who really stood out as a role model of what an elder should really be? You know, maybe of all the elders you've known or these men in leadership, who is it that I guess made the most impact in your life?
I guess my turn to go first again. For me, it was pretty simple. It's my dad. I grew up in the church. I was, you know, when the doors were open, we were pretty much there. My dad was in everything, you know, taught class, Bible Bowl, youth group, went on camp, you know, all those things. And so he's always kind of been the one that I looked up to. And so that's why I got involved in the youth group. That's why I've gone to camp. That's why I try to help teach. I mean, and so, you know, he was honored enough. About the time I was going to college, I think we went to Six and Jackson Church of Christ. Phil and I actually went to church together. So I've known Phil for 30 plus years, actually. He was my youth intern. He was the youth intern my first year in the youth group, actually.
When you were 6 or 7?
7, yeah. Anyway, I've known Phil forever. So anyway, I forgot what I was saying. So he was honored enough to become, so, you know, to watch him through that process. They changed churches after we got married, I think, wasn't it? They left. Did you go to Six and Jackson with me? Yeah. Okay, I can't remember timelines. Then they went to Golf Course Road in Midland, big church. And after they had been there for, 5 or 6 years, he became a shepherd at GCR as well. And so I think just watching what he has done my entire life, you know, and then the transition to elder. And I've talked to him about it even before I was ever an elder, you know, all 8 days of it, you know. I've talked to him about it. He's told me kind of what it entails, you know, and the stresses, you know, but the awesomeness of being involved in that group of guys. And so I've always kind of seen it from that side too. And so just the way he's handled it has just always been amazing to me. And so I've just kind of tried to model after that, I guess, so to speak.
That's great. Thanks.
I would say it's not really, well, there's several. The elders was a new concept for me when I first came here the first time. And I got to meet Royce and, 5 times. But I also met Frank Upp, who was retired Air Force and works in the Social Security office here in town. And so we had an instant connection. And so it seemed just like each one of them tried to find a connection with me as a new guy coming in here in their own different way. And of course, Ed, Mr. Houston, and I'm not putting you on the spot there, but I mean, but they're always very quiet, strong, solid leaders, and you knew if I needed to go to any one of them that I could, and that really has made an impact on me. You don't have to be the rah-rah guy, or you don't have to be loud and boisterous or in charge of everything and anything. You just got to be there. And all the men that I've I've worshiped in this congregation with that served as elders have always made themselves available and were always there. And I think that's probably one of our most important jobs. So that really impacted me quite a bit.
So with that in mind, this may be the same answer. It might be somebody different, but if you had to think of 1 to 2 people who've had the greatest impact on your faith, who would that be?
Well, without a doubt, that's my wife. I was a baby Christian when we got to the campus center, and she helped me so much.
I've seen the pictures. You were very much of a baby face back then.
Yeah, she has our engagement picture on her shelf, and her students always ask who her little brother is. I like that.
That's great.
I think for me, it's my parents. Growing up in the church, they kind of helped start that, faith in me. But mine's also my wife. I think it's kind of weird to say, but one of the greatest things that happened to establish my faith, and I think our faith, was going to Missouri for 5 years. We were 14 hours away from anybody that we knew initially. I mean, my parents were in Odessa. She's from Kansas, but her parents had moved to San Antonio about a year before we left. We went to what was the big Church of Christ in Columbia, Missouri, very liberal town, liberal arts school. Had 250 people, but that was the big one. It was also the liberal, so to speak. And the reason we were liberal is because we actually had a place where you could cook food, a kitchen, and we had Sunday school. I mean, when we put the screen up with words, people left the church. I mean, it was super conservative. But at that point in time was when I think Kristen and I really got plugged in, because you have to get it plugged in somewhere, especially for Kristen. I can get plugged in at my job easily. We had Jace, who was 1 right when we moved there. So the place that's easiest for her to get plugged in, which was there as well as here, has been church. I mean, that's where her rock is and has been with her group of friends and stuff, has been at church for the past 17 years, I guess, total. And so getting plugged in there, we really had to find our own faith, especially going to a place that was very different. And we started really looking at, what does it mean? What does salvation mean to us? What is important, and I think that's where my faith really grew. And then Kristen's, ladies' Bible study and stuff, her knowledge, her activities, what she does is just, she's my idol, what she does. So she's definitely grown it.
That's great. That's great. Nice. Good little brownie point there.
That moving away thing is pretty huge.
Yeah.
I mean, right after Lonnie and I got married, we moved to California and then Hawaii. She hadn't even been out of Texas yet. And so we kind of had that same experience of having to rely on
From San
one
Angelo to Hawaii?
Yes.
Wow.
And so I leaned on her quite a bit. So I think through that same kind of experience of we just had each other in our church.
Yeah, it's so important. That's so important. There's so many marriages today that I don't necessarily know if they talk about expectations before they get married. And what you do find is if you go away together, you are really having to rely on each other, for lots of different things. And expectations change a little bit, I'm gonna switch gears because I'm about to ask 2 more serious questions here in a second, but just to kind of break it up just for a moment, what are the things you love to do? And a lot of times our people may not necessarily, you may be able to find some connection with people if they know what your hobbies are, what are those things you really are passionate about. Yours is pretty easy, Mark, I know.
Well, yeah, I like to golf.
He's pretty good. He's a lot better than me.
I love spending time with my sons and my grandkids. Family time is number one. And I'll give up golf every day, any day, to spend time with my grandkids. But just for me to go get a little bit refreshed is a round of golf. Yeah. And maybe watching a Rogue Cubs game when they come on TV every now and then.
Do you have MLB Network? Do you have that?
Yes.
Okay. Nice.
I mean, most of my time is spent work and then it's family. We have the 3 kids that are still in school. So, especially during school season, we are chasing kids 24/7. So, I like, outside of that, I'm a huge Cubs fan also. So, I love to travel. I love taking trips, love going different places. I don't like to visit more places, typically more than once, except Chicago. I love food, love to eat. If you want to eat, I would love to go. I plan all of our trips typically around food and sports. That's primary goal and everything. I do not like to go to the beach and sit on the beach. That is boring.
You have to be doing something.
I have to do something, and I plan out the entire trip the whole time, and it drives Kristen crazy. She's like, can we just sit here for a few hours? No. So, yeah, so traveling, eating, hanging out with family, friends. Then, like I said, I love my Broncos. So Ford Broncos.
And you have a 60?
I have a 1966 Ford Bronco, which is the first year they were ever made. It's partially restored, I would say. It's a money pit, is what I would also say. That's why it's only partially restored. And then I just got the new 22 Bronco also. So
Yeah, the day after I had a sermon on that, and the very next day, people are saying, "Did you do it? Did you get one? Because there's one parked at the church parking lot." And it was Kristen driving it up here. It was really mean, but thanks for that. Okay, so I want to go into something a little bit more serious now because, the thing I love about our church is that we have a long history of people of faith here who don't just attend, they don't just do the social events, but they have got ministry passions, these hearts that are burdened for ministry. And I'm just going to open that up to say, what is your burden for ministry? What is it that really ignites your energy about this church and what God has called us to do, what God has called you to do here in this congregation? What is that? Or those things, if there's multiple?
the type of ministry.
Yeah.
I think the first one and foremost for us is youth. I think from day one, we got involved in youth and children's. Kristen got very involved with Lois in the children's and still does. You see this. Kristen honestly has been up here 3 times a week for months, helping and doing that. And that's kind of what we set our hearts on initially, was just youth group. And so as soon as we got here, within a year of being here, I think, maybe 2, we jumped into huddle. We got to know Neil and Jana Justice at the time, and they were trying to get us to do it. And then they came up we'd been here a year, and they were like, "We're moving. Will y'all take over?" Pretty much. And so we jumped in. I think they were 7th graders at that time. So we missed the first year of that group. So we finished that group. We just finished our second. Seniors actually just graduated, 2 weeks ago. And so the youth group is where that's where we feel like, we've gone to camp. I've probably been 6 or 7 times. She's probably been 9 or 10. There's been a few years I couldn't go. But youth group is really where our passion, I guess, is more than anything. I think we have a lot of passions. I've gone to Haiti. We don't go anymore. I love missions. We're both on the missions committee. Have been on that for 6, 8 years, something like that too. Missions, I think, is amazing work. Going on mission trips, I love doing that. The needy, the poor, homeless, that type of stuff is also a passion. And I'd like to get even more into that at some point. But I think those are our biggest passions.
Thanks. Mark?
I would say mine is by default the campus center, without a doubt. I think the impact that one ministry made on my life and the gift that it gave me of my spouse has made it special to me. Every time I come back, it's there and it's vibrant and I connect better with that age group because it's the same age group that I work with out on base every day. And so I teach the 4th and 5th grade class, and that's okay, but we don't connect.
But you try.
That's herding cats, and it's fun some days. But I love the campus center. I got here when David King and John Stamps were the campus ministers when we started. We left, came back, and it was Scott Yarbrough, and their youngest son was like a month away from my boy's age. And it's just been a wonderful relationship with the campus center for, well, I've been in the Air Force almost 40 years now, and I've been part of the campus center every year.
And that neither one of those things surprised me because I've seen you work very hard in both of those areas, and it's not anything it seems like you are doing because you're supposed to. It's just a natural passion, natural part of you. You just do it because that's just what you do. And I really appreciate that. That inspires me.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm excited for the changes that are coming. I love the energy that Sam has and Amanda have infused into it. So I'm real excited for this summer and for this coming school year.
Yeah, that's great.
It's going to be awesome.
Okay, so with this ministry passion also comes this observation that you guys have been here for a while now, and you've seen our church, you've seen us grow, you've seen us kind of go through some minister changes, some congregational changes. You've seen us through COVID. You guys have been here for years and years. What is it about our congregation? What characteristics are there that you maybe think we need to grow in? For example, if you were to pray for our church and our church family, what is it that you pray for? What do you pray that God gives us? What do you pray that that God does here? What does that sound like?
That's me. I didn't want to go first on this one. Honestly, and maybe I have a different perspective having been an elder for already, but I pray for unity for our congregation all the time because we have a very diverse congregation. We have a diverse age group. We have a diverse ethnicity. We have a diverse backgrounds that brought people to San Angelo. And everyone, when we leave these doors, everyone's going their separate ways and everyone's getting attacked in different ways. And when we come back here, I just pray that we're all unified in the right mind, in a togetherness, in unity, in love. And, if we use this as I referred to it the other day with Lonnie as a bomb shelter because we're being bombarded all the time from society. When we come in here, I'd like to think of this as a bomb shelter where we're safe and we can just fellowship and be united and know that we're all here for the exact same reason, and that's to love on one another and to grow our faith and grow each other's faith. And that's my biggest, most consistent prayer for our congregation.
Good, thanks.
This one is tough because the question says besides love,
besides
which
love.
Everything has to do with love when it comes to God, so it's hard to answer. I think piggyback on the unity, and I know church isn't about numbers. It's not about how many people can we get in the pews every day, and if the number's low, we're doing something wrong. But primarily with COVID and then some other changes that we've had, my passion again is youth group, but it's the thing I pray for is for the people to come home, I would love to see more people involved, which I think is a unity thing because I think they need to feel welcome. And so I think inclusivity, is that a word? Inclusivity, it is now, that's right. Inclusivity, I want everybody to feel like they are included, because if we can get them included, they'll be here They'll feel like they're part of the team, and they'll want to come back. That's the things that I pray for. And it's not just the youth group. It's the whole church. I know churches around the world, are suffering from that post-COVID, but we hear regularly about people that haven't come back, or they've gone to other churches, even maybe during COVID, and it's kind of like, why? What did we do? And so I pray that we could figure out what that is and get people back and get them included, get them involved, so they can feel loved. Even though we're not supposed to talk about that, but that's what I pray for. Is it's unity, but getting people back so they can be included and involved.
That's good. I did want to kind of, we just have a couple minutes, and I asked them if they were okay if I did this before. So if you guys have any questions, maybe that I don't know, you've been interested in, and any of your kids, if you have any questions about what these guys do whenever they're together as elders, that might be a good question. But just wanted to kind of open it up for a second, if you'll have any questions.
Okay, great, thanks.
You got to laugh at Sutton. That's pretty good. I'm surprised none of your. What do you look forward to bringing to the group? Okay.
Cubs. No, I'm just kidding. I've asked myself that honestly. I'm hoping that maybe just a little, and I think all four of us new elders, maybe there's a little bit of a different way to look at things. I don't, I'm not coming in to change the world, change things really at all, but maybe just a different view. I am a little bit, I am a little bit on the younger side, when it comes, I'm not 66. I still have 3 kids at home, so I think I have a little bit of a different view maybe of the way things are going in youth group especially. I've got 3 kids in the youth group right now, so maybe there's some things that I can help out there. Kristen's very involved in the children's ministry, so maybe there's a little bit of a different, I'm kind of in a different group, so to speak, than some of the other guys, and maybe different perspective. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for, on things that maybe I can bring. So. Really, I just want to ruffle feathers. No, I'm just kidding. That's what Mitch told me when they came over. He's like, "Now we don't come in here ruffling feathers or something." I was like, "Trust me, I'm not going to do that." But it was something like that. No, I'm just kidding.
Any other questions? Yes, ma'am. That's a good question. Why didn't I ask that? Included from here on out. I would have to say probably the Lacombe family, maybe.
Lacombe family, and the fact that there's going to be a third one is awesome. So, your turn.
I like the fact that no matter who I bring through that door, they're going to be welcomed. And as many times as I had to walk through that door as a stranger, sometimes in uniform, sometimes in not. The rules have changed out on base quite a bit. But no matter when I walked through that door, I was always welcomed, and I was always treated well and not made to feel different, odd. So, yeah, I would say that the warmth and the friendliness and the love of this congregation that you show everyone that walks through our doors is the thing that it brought us back, and that's what kept us here. And that's my favorite thing.
I agree. I like the fact that when I show up on Sunday morning, I can walk up and down the aisle and shake several hundred people's hands. Lots of hugs are given. It's you just feel at home. It's your family. I love the broad scope of our congregation. The children, all the way to the older than me, and the fact that everybody does things together. I mean, Wednesday nights like this, there's obviously, broad spectrum here, but when we've done, like, we'll do the ice cream thing and, and those Wednesday nights in the past when we've done, like, watermelon and stuff like that, everybody's just out there talking, and it's just everybody. I love the fact that everybody here gets along and everybody just does stuff together. It's fun to watch, fun to sit back and just watch. Like after we had the elders thing, when we ate lunch, we were towards the back of the line after talking and stuff, and you could see every table was full and everybody was just sitting there talking and just enjoying being together. And you don't see that a lot, So I just thought that was awesome. I think it's great that our church we all get along, I mean, it's just great to watch. You can sit down at any table, have a conversation with anybody at that table. It doesn't have to be just the people that, my little section, I don't just have to sit with those people over there. I can sit with anybody. So.
Thank you for that question. I would have said the preaching, but that's just me. Another one? Anyone? Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
I grew up in Harrison Derby, as a young girl, and later in here John Street for a long time. And we moved to Bristol, and we went to church in Bristol for 20 years. And then we decided to come back here, and the difference was unbelievable. The amount of love, with the exception of David Gay.
I'm with you, David. I'm just right here, buddy. Yes.
Anyway, I think we have a wonderful group of elders.
Yeah.
And I really think that this congregation has come a long ways from back when I was here 20 years ago. I appreciate it. Loving congregation.
Yeah.
Right on the target.
Yeah, that's one thing that really has impacted me is really the humility that I've seen in our eldership here, and the way that they really do love people. They're not all perfect, right? Who is? But what I love is that I get to see them all interact together, and there's so much humility there, and there's so much love for one another, and I keep telling Mitch, and I keep telling him that's not normal, not the normal case in a lot of elderships, that elders really like each other and love each other. I know that's odd to say, but there's something good here, and I concur. Yeah. Anything else? One more? Yes, sir. Yeah. Is there anything that the congregation can do to make your calling, your job more effective?
I think you hit the nail on the head with encouragement, and having been doing this for a month, whatever it is, two weeks, the encouragement that I've had from people coming up and talking to me, telling me they've prayed for me, congratulations, whatever it's been like, it literally like warms your heart. Just, you just feel good, because deep down, it's kind of like, am I qualified? But then B, how many of these people really want me to do this? And how many approve of it? All this kind of stuff. And when even people that I'm not real close to, and Jeremiah Oviedo's not in here. No, but the first, we were doing one way, the night or the morning, Sunday morning, that y'all put us 4 up there, and it was the first time it was announced to the church. Jeremiah Oviedo came over there to, I guess, had been coming over there to help work or whatever after the service, and he came up and he gave me a huge hug. And he said, I was so happy to see your face on that screen. I'm proud of you. You're going to do an awesome job. And that was 5 minutes after they had been announced, and I knew it was getting announced that morning because they had told us. And so I was a little bit nervous. How is everybody going to react to us 4? We don't know. you know. Yes, we know this was led by the Holy Spirit, but still, you know. And so for the first person to walk up to me and just hug me and tell me that, I was just like, I've been meaning to tell him that in person, that was probably the best. Yeah, and I'm not saying anything about the rest of you because most of y'all in here have said something to me, but for that to be that close and for him to come up and give me a hug and tell me that, man, that just made me settle to everything. And it's been like that the whole time. I mean, the congregation has been so great about this whole thing. So encouragement, yes, just loving on us, you know, telling us they appreciate us, you know, that kind of stuff is just awesome.
Anything you'd like to add?
I can't top that. I would say pray for us. We need prayers just like every one of you do. Sometimes the decisions we make are hard. It's the choices of a solution are bad and more bad, or tougher, and no, let's stay away from that one. But we got to choose one. And sometimes we get it right, and sometimes we don't. But I would guess that everyone that I have served with would say we haven't got them all right. But we take those decisions very seriously, and so we covet your prayers for the discernment and wisdom when we have to make those hard decisions. And yeah, gosh, the hugs far outweigh the complaints for sure, and man, it just makes your day. So, yeah.
Well, I appreciate both of you stepping up and being willing to respond to the Spirit calling you forth, you know. And the job that you have is not easy. You know, thankfully you have a wife who can help you through all this. I know that, you know, we are who we are because of our spouse. And I'm just, you know, thankful that both of you have said yes to this. And the job you have is not easy. You know, you have both been called to lead. You know, you're not a congressman or a senator. You are a leader. You know, you are somebody who gets to help our people think more like Christ and see the bigger picture and think of others first and root themselves in love and everything and unity. And that's not easy whenever it comes to a large congregation. So I'm thankful that you guys have decided to say yes to this. What I'd like to do is just close up and then pray over you, and then we'll be done for the evening. Next week we're going to be having our VBS Funtacular. Is that a good way to say it, Elizabeth? And it's going to be right here. Yeah. And really, even with all this wonderful, okay, in the gym, and then we're going to have ice cream and some fun stuff, and Elizabeth's going to be right in the middle of that. It's going to be fun. But come to that because our kids are going to have worked really hard learning some of those things. And then we'll come back the very next week, and I think that's going to be Mitch. Is that right? Mitch and Dan and Debbie and Loanne. So that'll be fun. Let's close in prayer. Thank you. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for Clint. Lord, thank you for Mark. Thank you for Lonnie. Thank you for Kristen, their families, and for their willingness to be able to wear this mantle of leadership. Thank you for allowing them the opportunity to be here for such a time as this. Lord, we know that you are calling us forward. You're calling us to reach out into our community. You're calling us to embrace one another here. Lord, help us to be people who do so rooted in love, rooted in compassion, inclusivity. Lord, help us to always notice the person in the room who is not necessarily being welcomed. So I just pray for good things here, Lord. And I pray that you would help them to be encouraged in everything that they do so that the decisions they make are following the Spirit. Lord, thank you for our church and for just the chapters that are to come. In Jesus' name, amen.